I want a Big Mac, baby.
Do you want a Big Mac? Yeah, me too. I want one with everything on it, even that special sauce. Now you can get one at McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Hey you, I need you to like, share, subscribe. That's it. Like, share, subscribe. Now, get your mind ready for this geek.
What's up, world? This is your boy, Coach EV, aka EV the Geeker, and welcome to another episode of the Geeker Report, our Girl Dad series. And man, I am excited with the guest that we're gonna have here today. But before I introduce them, let me introduce my 14-year-old co-host, none other than my daughter, Eliana. How are you doing today, Eliana?
I'm very well.
I'm trying to figure out what's your geek on the giggles. Why do we have the giggles going? I mean, what's the giggles all about? Giggle. I mean, we're here at the Geeker Report, not the Giggle Report. You got to be kidding. Are you excited about today's show?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
You think we got some pretty good guests? How you know? You don't even know. I mean, how you gonna say they're good guests and you don't even have no clue about them?
Do you think they're good guests?
I think they're great guests.
Okay,
I know them.
Okay, well, I think they're great guests.
Okay, cool.
I'm just a deep reader.
Okay, cool. Well, listen. Let me introduce these guests today. Let's introduce the dad. The dad is someone I have history with. When I coached back at Southside back in 2003, it was early in his career. Early in mine, he is one of the few people that I can say beat me. I was 0-2 against him. And so I'll never beat him because I'll never coach against him again. This man has all of the accolades that you want to be, arguably one of the top 5 coaches in the state of Indiana history. He's won over 314 games. He's won 6 sectional, 3 regionals, 2 semi-states, and a partridge and a pear tree. Oh, that's the other song. No, he's won a state championship. He's done it all, Ellie. He's done it all. The man has battled cancer and won. The last 7 years, he is 226 and 33. He's married to a beautiful wife, Melissa, has 3 children, Madisen, Rylie, and Ryan. Please welcome to the show none other than Rod Parker, Homestead's high school's men's coach. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, doing very well. Very appreciative to be on the show today, Eric.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. I don't need you to say nothing else. Now, until I call you again. Now, here are the real introductions right here. Dun, 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 dun. The girls of the Girl Dad. First, we got a freshman at IPFW. She came from Homestead High School. I heard and that she was tough. If there was a 50-50 ball, she would get it. I heard that she has a silly personality. She's a legitimate golfer. She's not as good as her little brother Ryan, but she is legitimate. And she helped Homestead High School to a 26-2 record as a senior. Please welcome to the show, Miss Rylie Parker. How you doing, Rylie?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Now, for the finale. Dun, 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 dun. I got my own drum bun. From Bowling Green, she's a senior. She has too many accolades. I'm going to try to go down. She led the NCAA in three-point percentage. She is a lady Steph Curry, shooting at 48% clip. She started all 31 games last year. In high school, she won over 100 games, including a state championship. Not only that, she was an incredible softball player. She won over 30. She was 38-8 as a starter pitcher, and she batted 491 batting average. Wow, that's all I can say. She can hit and she can shoot. Please welcome to the show none other than Madisen Parker. How you doing, Miss Parker?
I'm good. Excited to be here.
That's great. Man, I'm excited. I got the Parkers. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing, Ellen. It's not the Parkers that we just watched on TV. It's the real Parkers. It's the white Parkers. We watched the black Parkers. Have y'all seen the Parker show? Y'all ain't seen the Parkers?
I haven't seen
Come
it.
on, man. What y'all got to be watching the Parkers. That's your homework assignment. Go look up the
right.
Parkers. Okay, that's what's the lady name? Monique?
No. I can't even think of her name, but
Yeah,
it's not Monique.
it is Monique.
No,
You
it's
don't know.
not. It's Monique. She was on Moesha.
It's Monique. See, she don't know. It's Monique.
It's
But anyway, go look it up, okay? See, we're arguing on. I can't believe this. This is the Parkers. This is their show. What are we doing? All right. So listen. Hey, I am so glad to have you guys on the show. Let's jump right in. Obviously, this right now in the season that we live in right now has been. It's been challenging. The world is the most chaotic it's ever been. COVID-19, racial tensions. We don't know which way is up and which way is down sometimes. Madisen and Rylie, talk to me. Tell me how COVID-19 has impacted you guys as a person and as a player. We'll start with you, Rylie, and then we'll go to Madisen. Tell us kind of where you were when it first hit last March, and then talk to us about a little bit about that COVID-19.
So obviously my season had just ended a little bit before. We had just lost in the regional finals. And so I was just getting ready for college, and I was doing a lot of shooting to keep that up because that's something that I'm kind of known for. But once COVID hit, it really was able to give me an opportunity to work on parts of my game that I really didn't like to work on, but I wasn't as good at. So ball handling and attacking the basket. I was really grateful for COVID in that aspect because I was able to get a lot better and a lot stronger in those aspects, and also continue to work on shooting.
Madisen,
My turn?
yeah, your turn.
Come on, Maddie.
Right on in. It's all good. She
Hey, my
passed the ball
sister
to
can
you.
talk all day. I gotta make sure she's done before I start.
Okay.
Okay, so COVID for me has been a very interesting experience. Obviously, it hit at the end of my junior season. So I had just finished my college season, and the day after, actually, I was in class and, didn't have practice that day, first time in 6 or 8 months. And everyone's talking about COVID. And I'm like, oh, COVID's not here. It's not at BG. Like, we're good. 2 days later, we were all sent home. So COVID to me just happened really quick and kind of unexpected. But I was battling some shin issues at the end, or kind of the whole year last year, basketball-wise. So COVID offered a great opportunity for me to rest and to give those shins a break and prepare for this year. And then obviously at the college scene right now, COVID is making sports a little unknown at the moment, but I think everyone's taking it in stride and doing everything we can to make sure we have a season.
That's great. Coach, talk to us. Take us through as a father, a parent, as a protector of your children. How do you know, with all this COVID going on and they're back in school, what are some of your thoughts about them being back in school, and how do you feel about that? And just take us through a little bit your thoughts on COVID.
Well, it's obviously been something that's changed, many lives over the past several months, and something we don't downplay. But, I believe PFW and Bowling Green both have good plans and programs in place to do everything within their power to keep their athletes, safe and healthy while still trying to move forward, get back to a little bit of a normalcy as a student athlete. So I am appreciative of both those schools and their coaching staffs, what they're trying to do. Obviously, it's always in the back of your mind as a parent, for many different health things. So, with COVID, we remind the girls all the time to do everything they can to be safe on their end. And then you just kind of have to live life a little bit and hope for the best.
let me ask you, let me add to that. So you said, you know, like it's good things. You're basically saying you trust Madisen and Rylie to do the right things and not go party and stuff at PFW and Bowling Green. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. And it's tough for student athletes right now. It's tough for students in the college scene because it's not the normal experience maybe that they're used to, especially I think maybe for Madisen, now's her fourth year of college, it's a big change. For Rylie, she doesn't know quite as, different of the college life yet. But yeah, you have to trust them, hopefully be able to trust the people they're around, and that they're going to make good decisions, and things will work out for the best, hopefully.
Oh, okay. That was a good answer. So I have a question for Madisen and Rylie. What are your thoughts about the racial tension, and how do you feel about your voice as a student athlete, and how you can make those racial tensions known and help and make them better? Rylie, you go first.
So I think that it is very important. I think that being a student athlete, not only are you considered a leader, but I am also able to, people think of student athletes as leaders. And so being able to show my voice and to really express it, not only to my team, to the athletics, but also to the whole campus, that what is going on is not right and that there needs to be a change and that we need to be more aware. I think that it's something that is very important to student athletes because I think that we do have a big voice and I think a lot of people do listen to us. And so we have been big with it at PFW and it's been very cool. We've actually had breakout groups where we talk about it and we educate ourselves, and it's been really good for me. I've learned a lot and I am able to educate other people and also be there for my friends that do struggle with that.
For me, I think it's been so important, my whole life as an athlete to lead by example. And right now at the college scene, student athletes have a great opportunity to lead by example because others are going to follow us. And so right now I'm on a couple different committees, you might call them, that are student athlete led. And we're talking about these things and we're talking about racial issues and what it looks like on our teams, on campuses in the world right now, and how we can lead the way for our campuses to be better. And I think right now it's just really important to listen and to be there for people who are really struggling.
Okay, and do you think that your school, you are making this more known, and do you think that your responses are good? Do you think that you're making an impact?
Personally, I think I do. And I think that showing a voice and showing that we are here to support is a very important aspect of this. Just showing that we are here, we care, and we are here to make a difference. And I think that I've done a good job. And I think that my whole team, my whole staff, all of the athletics at PFW has done a good job. And I am pretty certain that we are going to continue to do so to make sure that it is well known and things can change.
I agree with Rylie. Obviously, nothing's perfect. So we have a lot of growth area in this, I feel like. But something my university's done a really good job of is making that effort and to be upfront and be like, this year, this is really, really important to us. It's something that's really important to the world. It's something in our country that's really important. And so right now, this is something that we're going to be very open and honest about, that it's a focus for our university. So like I said, is there growth area? I'm sure we're learning, and obviously this is something that not everyone experiences. So I'm learning a lot through stories and real life experiences from teammates and friends and other community members. But I do feel like the response that like our university has had has been positive.
Adding on to Maddie, how she said that it's a growing process. I personally think that I am growing as well, like every day, just educating myself and talking to my teammates and just trying to understand and trying to see what I can do to help them and what I can do to help promote change.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's good to see, that's happening in universities. Coach, let me go right to you and talk to you a little bit about, ask you the question as a parent and as a family, how have you, as a father, sent a message to your children concerning, obviously this racial inequalities hasn't just started last week or with George Floyd. It's been going on for a long time. And how have you been able to, talk to us about how you raise your daughters, even with a lot of the racial tensions and different things and inequalities and justice? How did you raise them? Obviously, last time I checked, you guys look a little different than us, obviously. So, in your household, talk to us how that looked.
Well, yeah, it's a great question. And, Eric, as the girls have grown up, we really never talked about disparity because we just treated everybody equal. And, I have a lot of friends from all kinds of different, backgrounds, ethnicities. I know earlier you mentioned Bernard Hollins. And, I got a lot of people who are friends that I associate with, and the girls kind of grew up the same way. I think the big thing for us a little bit as a family is with what's gone on in the last several months is it brings awareness. And it brings awareness from a family like us of maybe what it's like through the eyes of somebody who is a minority, living in this country. While we maybe just viewed it as, hey, things are, good or equal, or the people that we have associated with in our community here in Fort Wayne necessarily haven't experienced the hardships maybe, or that the general population has, and so on. So I think the big thing we've talked about in the last several months is the perspective of other people. And, we have to be open to the feelings. And while we might not recognize certain things that maybe go on in society, that this is given awareness to us that, hey, those are things that are not, correct and that do need to change, in our country, in our communities, and potentially in our schools and in our programs. And those are things that we can help support now and advocate for.
I love that, Coach, because what you said is very important. I happen to know you and have a little history. Like I said, we go way back, and to be honest, I haven't heard of Rod Parker being a bad guy per se. Other than just beating me on the court. I remember when you had Liz Whitty back, in the day, and so that's, but the good thing is what you said is, I think you're now, you didn't raise them per se talking about it because you just treated everybody as equal, but now you've almost had to go back and say, hey, you know what, this thing is real, and at least that you guys, it sounds like to me that you're lending a sensitive ear to, that there is a problem or there is some challenges out there, and I can tell through your girls, and obviously sports sometimes is always that kind of bridge anyway, that kind of helps the racial gap a little bit because you have black and white kids on the same team, and so that kind of helps. So that's good to know that you have, now had to talk about it a little bit and make the adjustments. I think that's powerful and positive. So anyway, I think it's your question. Is it your question?
Oh, it is my question.
Oh, okay. See, you're not paying attention.
Okay, so hold on.
Madisen.
Okay, Madisen and Rylie. How old were you when your dad first put a ball in your hand? And just take us through your journey as a basketball player. Rylie first.
Okay, so my dad was obviously the high school coach when I was born, and I was born in the summer. So going in 6 months of being born, I was already going to every single one of his basketball games. And so there were times where I would actually be in the gym. He would be putting me, those things that you put the baby in? I would be putting those during practices. I was just there. And so it was just kind of a culture really in our family, was that we just play basketball. And so growing up, we always just played, and I would always try to go shoot with Maddie whenever she'd shoot. Usually end up me getting mad because she would shoot a lot better than me. And then for a while, actually, I did lose the passion for basketball a little bit, and I was thinking about not playing. And then I actually had an AAU coach, and I kind of thought in my mind, I can do something with this. And so then it really hit me. And then I've been playing in high school, and obviously I'm playing at the next level, and I love it. I can't imagine not doing it.
Oh, nice, Rye.
Thanks.
Okay, so my story, first time a basketball was in my hand was probably before I could remember anything. Our parents were always, little basketballs, little footballs, things like that growing up. But, my dad always tells a story that when I was a little baby, he took me to a basketball game at Huntington North with my mom. And I was baby, and I was already in the gym. And like Rylie said, he was the high school coach with me growing up. So I grew up watching all these phenomenal people go through his program. And I watched his program change too. He didn't win every game starting out. So I got to be around the program and around girls and around people that I could look up to. And I could be like, I want that to be me someday. And like Rylie, I've always had a passion for basketball, so I've never lost my passion. But there was a time there where I was trying to decide what sport to play because I had a passion for multiple sports, basketball and softball. And I just thought back to all the years I was in the gym with my dad growing up, and my ultimate question of what sport I wanted to play was which sport would I be excited to practice every single day? Because when you get to college, you have to love practice. And immediately I was like, basketball. I love to be in a gym. And I was like, there's my answer. And I've never regretted it. Basketball's definitely been my passion. And while I enjoyed softball, I didn't have a passion for it like I did basketball. So college has been so transformational, but it's been worth it because I love basketball and I have a passion for it.
That's awesome. Great answers. Wow. Yeah. I see the passions. They put the ball in their hands as a baby. And, going to you, Coach, when did you recognize that Madisen and Rylie were special players and that they had a chance to play at the next level? When did you, take us through the journey from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a really good question. To go back on what they said, both the girls were in a gym, from the time they could walk. In Madisen's story, she was 3 days old and I had to scout a game, and you'll appreciate this, Eric. Zach Randolph versus Sean Klein in front of 6,000 people, Huntington North. And the play started with an alley-oop dunk, and the crowd went nuts. And Madisen's eyes popped open, and my wife and I were like, hey, her eyes are brown. Yeah, it's the first time we really saw them. So, basketball's been, from the time that they could, were born, because I was coaching. My wife took them to every game. They never missed a game. And one of the neat things for them and for me is as they grew up in a gym, and I have pictures of them in our team picture when they were 2, 3, 4 years old, was how many girls in my program were role models for them. And so it was really neat as these two have grown up, how then they've returned the favor and they've been role models for other young, girls in our community. And sports has allowed them to do that. So that's been a really neat thing. But to get back to your question, as far as when I really knew, it was interesting because with Madisen, when she was younger, she was very skilled, but I always called her a little soft. And, we had battles all the time. She needed to get tougher. I told her she couldn't, defend anybody and this and that. But, Madisen and Rylie both, but there was a product of hard work. She was in the gym. She showed her passion, her love, and as she developed, it was probably maybe once she really got into high school or her freshman year, she started, transforming into a player that had a skill set that was pretty unique, pretty special. She had a work ethic that I felt kind of surpassed most people. And she had incredible IQ for the game of basketball. And I think that probably, was attributed to the fact that she grew up in a gym. She constantly heard me talking about my team, performances, scouting. As a young girl, they both scouted with me a lot. Now we have Huddle and all these software programs we use. But when they were young, we went to the gym. And so we were scouting games all the time. And Madisen always loved to tag along. As long as she got a snack at the concession stand, she was there. And I still have notes of, when we scouted, basketball courts, and Madisen and so on, and Rylie, when she was, they would scribble. They thought they were scouting, just scribbling plays on the basketball court. But that helped. And I've always thought that both these girls have been very high IQ players. And I think that's something that's really helped them excel in the game, along with the work ethic. Rylie, on the flip side, I would say it was probably her sophomore year. And she talked about her transformation. She had a little bit of time in middle school. She maybe wasn't as committed to the game as she was once she got into high school, and again developed that passion. And we have a saying in our program, and I've used it with my kids a lot. To be really good at something, you have to enjoy the boring, the mundane. So in other words, you have to enjoy going in and shooting free throws in an empty gym for hours. You have to enjoy going in and shooting jump shots for hours when no one's around. I tell my son, you have to love going out in 85-degree heat and putting on a putting green for an hour and a half when you're the only one there. If you truly want to be good at something, you have to enjoy those little things. And they both, I think, hit that around that freshman, sophomore year in high school. And from then, I really felt the growth became exponential. And for both of them, I'd say they're juniors in high school. Then I knew they were the players that could excel at the next level. And of course, they were getting interest from college coaches and so on at that time.
Well, like I knew as well, because Bernard Holland would tell me every day at 6 o'clock, he would call me at 6 o'clock, waking me up, talking about he's in the gym with Madison Parker or somebody shooting basketball or, practicing and all like that. So he would always, he spoke highly of your daughters. And so he was real high on them from the beginning. I know he's, at Always 100. I'm giving him a little shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, Eric, Bernard always saw their talent earlier than I did. And I think as a parent, you tend to be, or some people, at least me and the coach, tougher on your own kids because he identified that earlier than me. And it took a while for me to be as convinced that they could be as talented as Bernard felt they could be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a geeker. He's learned from some people. I'm not gonna say who, but anyway, moving on. I want to go into this section that we call the "What's Your Geek" section, which is brought to you by Sweet Mary Kay Photography and Fahrenheit Graphics. And this section is basically, Coach, tell us a little bit about your family. Tell us about your wife. You mentioned a little bit about your son. We've already heard about Madisen and Rylie. And so just tell us a little bit more about the Parkers.
Yeah, I'm going to start with my wife, Melissa, obviously my true love. We started dating our sophomore year in high school. And I'm going to tell you a little basketball story because back in the day, we didn't have all the AAU stuff. I'm kind of aging myself. So we had a court in our neighborhood. And in that court, the guys would get together and play. And I kind of was fortunate to control the court because it was my neighbors and so on. And one of the girls, point guard on the girls team at Snyder High School, wanted to play. And I said, fine, let her play. And a couple days later, she wanted to bring a friend. And I'm like, geez, how, okay, whatever. Well, sure enough, Melissa shows up. She started boxing out, playing physical, throwing elbows. I was so impressed that after the second day she played on the court, I asked her out. So if it weren't for basketball, I'm not sure we'd had that connection. So the game has been very good to our family. But so we've been married for 26 years now. It's been great. We have 3 kids. Obviously, you're seeing Madisen and Rylie here on the program. And Ryan, my youngest, is 13 years old and then an 8th grader here in town. And his big deal is golf. He does play basketball, but golf's the one that he likes to practice and work at.
Okay, wow, that's a great story. I love the wife at the basketball court. Because Coach, we can relate. I think we're closest. I'm 51, so I know we're close.
Yeah, we're close. I'm a year behind you all.
Yeah, so I can relate to the, playing pickup and then having a girl mess up the game. Come and. Man, we ain't got time to be playing. I know. I can relate, man. Girls, because and then you ended up doing a no. Well, it was a yes because you ended up marrying her.
Right.
But it was one of those deals like she's boxing you out, all right. That means you know how you got to box out, and so we're not gonna go there. We're gonna keep this show, And then next thing you know, you guys are dating.
Hey, one thing I learned about Erica, she wanted to win. I like that. So it was game on. She fit in with the guys just fine. So, but we talked a little bit earlier in the show, just about what all is going on in the world. But one of the neat things about having daughters and coaching girls basketball, is being an advocate for women's, rights in their situations, because they're completely different right now in 2020 than they were back in the 80s. And, we joke about that. Just even my simple story of being on a basketball court, girls just didn't play basketball at the level they do now or have the opportunities. So it's been really neat in my 20 years as a girls, head coach, to see the game grow, because I really feel like the game for girls has really grown a lot since I really got involved in 2000 as a coach. And my wife, again, won a state title back in '88, in Indiana. So to see, the girls' game grow so much has been very rewarding, and it's been exciting to be a part of that, for my girls to be a part of that.
Awesome. So she was on that Snyder 88. Was it Snyder that won the championship in '88?
Yep, 88.
Did she play with Tiffany Gooden?
No, Tiffany Gooden won in 95.
That's right. Tiffany's okay. Right. Okay.
Yep. So she was state champion in '88 with the Gill sisters. Were there at the time. Donna went on to play at Purdue. They had a really nice team.
Donna Gill, right. I remember that name. I wasn't around Fort Wayne at that time, but I had remembered that. So, I'm just, you went back in history there. The Snyder Lady Panthers. We got state championship. The Parkers, just everybody's a state champion. Just everybody.
Well, we're fortunate in that realm. So.
Okay. We're gonna switch topics. Back to Rylie and Madisen. I know your dad has battled with cancer. And I wanted to know, how did you feel when you found out, and did it change your perspective on life? And how, were you worried, or did you just trust in God and believe that everything was going to be okay?
So personally, this sounds kind of bad, but I had a feeling that something was off, because my dad is never sick. He's up by 5 a.m. every day, ready to go. And so when he had his first symptom, we were like, oh, and I was like, something's wrong. And so actually I had a practice and he had a doctor's appointment. And so he was like, it was at 1 o'clock and we had practice at 3:30. I was like, he's going to be here at the start of it. The whole practice went through and there was 10 minutes left to practice. And I went to my assistant coach and I was like, he's not here. Why is he not here? And so I really was I was really worried, not even known yet. And she was like, it's okay. It's okay. So then he came in the last 5 minutes and he was like, hey, just go home. And so then when we got home after practice, he told me, and I was honestly devastated. I was crying. I was a mess. And then that same night, Maddie was up at BG 2 hours away, and they felt like they should go tell her at the same night. And I was like, I'm going up there. So at 10 o'clock, I drove up with my parents to go tell her, because we're family. This was a big obstacle, but we're family and we're going to do this together. So even from that moment, I knew that we were going to get through this because we have such a strong knit bond. So I went up there, we got back at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went to school the next day, and we told my team. And so those are probably the two hardest days for me, besides the Tuesday that he actually did have the surgery. But we just kind of had that mentality that we were going to get through this. I mean, it was definitely hard times, but it was something we were going to get through. And I told someone this in December. I was like, my dad's Superman. I was like, so this was super surprising. I think it was the most surprising thing of it all, was that he was actually sick. But definitely it changed my perspective that anything can happen to anyone, and you really have to live life day by day and really acknowledge, appreciate, and love the people that you love. Keep them close. And that really changed my perspective. And as bad as it sounds, I think me and my dad have gotten closer since then. And I'm so thankful for that as part of it, I guess. But yeah.
So similarly to Rylie, I also kind of had a feeling something was wrong. My dad probably doesn't even know this, but Thanksgiving last year, my team was playing in Victoria, British Columbia, in a tournament. So our whole family was out there. The first night they flew in, we were having dinner down in the lobby, little bar restaurant. I know I'm throwing Rylie under the bus here.
I got in trouble. Mom yelled at me too.
Yeah, so both my parents left the table for a minute, and Rylie looked at me and said, hey, I think something's wrong with Dad. And kind of said something, and we were both like, oh, it'll be okay. And she's like, I don't know. I'm just worried. I'm like, Rylie, it'll be good. So fast forward a couple weeks, like Rylie already said, the day he found out, it was a Wednesday. I remember our practice time was earlier in the day. I was done with practice, done with class. Got a text from my mom. She was coming up. And I was like, normally I get a heads up, but I mean, it was a, hey, we're leaving now. Are you available sort of thing. And it was kind of just that immediate feeling of dread. You just know something's wrong, know something's not right. So my parents drove up with Rylie, and my dad sat down and talked to me, which I really appreciated because, I mean, going through this while being in college has been difficult because I wasn't home. So while I saw him maybe on the weekends or every other weekend, I mean, I was in season. So he told me on a Wednesday, Friday morning, we were traveling to Marshall University for a game. I was driving even farther away from my house, farther away from my dad, and everything just happened so fast that it was like not being home was difficult. And then as it turns out, his surgery happened really fast, which was awesome. But that following week was my finals week. So I had college finals, and his surgery was on a Tuesday. I had a final on a Tuesday. So I couldn't come home until after my final. So that whole process was just difficult being away when all you want is to be physically there for your family. So I think something like that situation taught me is sometimes like you can be there for people without physically being there. But something my dad was really adamant about from the start was like he wanted me to keep living and make sure basketball was normal. Like I wasn't allowed to miss basketball. Basketball was
Number one.
Not skippable. And I was finishing finals, and he was like, go kill your finals, like be awesome. And that's something I appreciated too, because if he wouldn't have said that, I would have done everything in my power to be home. But his strength and his wisdom and guiding me to, be successful and not just worry about him was really impactful for me. But like Rylie said, things happen and life happens. And last year, life just happened for our family a little bit, and never doubted my dad's strength at all. Like that was never a doubt. I knew he was a fighter. I knew he was going to do everything he could to get through it the best he could for himself and for our family. So I think, like Rylie said, just learning to love the little things. And like even now when my dad calls, or even my mom or Rylie, Ryan, anyone in my family, I'm like, I got to pick it up. Like I'm so excited to talk to my family. Or if I miss it, if I'm at practice, I'm like, I'm sorry, here's why I didn't answer the phone. I was at practice. I was on Zoom. Like, what's up? How's it going? And I think this past year, that's just something I've been better at, is valuing the time on my phone with my family, even though I'm not physically there.
Also adding on, I also think that, and I think Maddie can say the same thing, is that from his experience, from what we had to go through, I personally think that I grew as a person and a player, both on and off the court. I mean, having my dad as my high school coach and him telling my team on a Thursday and then playing 2 games and then him having surgery on a Tuesday, my team was a mess. And so I was really taught that people were going to react. We're going to see how I was going to react and react from that. And I thought that it made me a stronger person because I had to be the strong one for them in a sense, to show them that it's okay. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be okay and keep living life, keep living practices and games. And also as a player, because it's not easy to play through that. And I think that being able to play through that, being able to go through that adversity within practice, games, anything like that, I think that it really made me a better person and a player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, especially just like the growing aspect of it. Like I said, I got on a bus Friday morning, almost 24 hours after I found out, and headed to Marshall. And like that game was so weird. I mean, even thinking back now, it was a blur. And I had a great game. And I remember like walking into the locker, like I was good. I was level-headed. And I remember I stepped into the locker room and just broke down. It's like my teammates were there for me. My coaches were there for me. And then it was like, I got this. Next play, moving on. Like my dad's got this. I got this. So I think too, like there's strength in being on a team. And like Rylie said, she had her Homestead team. I had my BG team. And then ultimately we had our family, and our family was a strong team through that.
It was just another game, and we won it, so it's okay now.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, Coach, it's it's a tribute to you and your wife Melissa, and how you raised your children to be able to deal with adversity. And we know everybody, in order to be great and be a champion, not only on the court but off the court, there has to be you have to be able to. It's how you handle adversity. Talk to us, Coach. How, from your eyes, how did you deal with this, and being obviously as a father, protector for your family, and all the different things, and hearing your daughters, take us through what you went through.
Yeah, first of all, the irony of the whole thing was how quickly it happened. Madisen touched on it. I didn't have any symptoms until we were on our way to British Columbia to watch her play at Thanksgiving, and at that time I didn't even think it would be the magnitude that it was. So we were out there and we got back, and things moved quickly. I was very fortunate to have great medical care, so things moved very quickly. I think coaching kind of put me in a position to know the people that kind of expedited stuff. But, it was challenging because as a dad, I think the toughest part for a while was when you're laid up, in ICU for a week, and then you're home and you can't do anything for a while. You don't feel like that strong figure, that you normally are on a day-to-day basis. Obviously you are in spirit and you are because you're there, but that was tough. It really was tough. But like the girls mentioned, obviously the family is a huge support network. I was very proud of how they handled it, and stayed tough. And Madisen mentioned she played very well that weekend. Rylie hung tough. And I pulled both of them aside, though, and said, you guys have responsibilities to your team, and so on, and you need to get after it. But in the same respect, I pulled from my team and coaches, and those young ladies that were on my team this year were huge and instrumental to how well I think I fought and got through the cancer, because they were a great network and support group for me during that time. So basketball again. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times, ended up being a very positive thing for everybody in my family, and given an extra support group, everything that sports teach, adversity, and so on. And I will tell you, Eric, it was kind of interesting because I remember going to, I think at first 3 games, I was in ICU, I missed or something. And I went to the holiday tournament, which you're very familiar with here in Fort Wayne, which is a big deal for the SAC conference. And I remember walking in and I could barely get in to sit on the end of the bench. And obviously, should I have been there? Probably not. But, as a coach, that's your team. And it was the weirdest thing, because the first time in my life, I sat on the outside looking into my program and my team and the coaches. And it was really an awkward out-of-body experience. But one of the things that vividly I remembered was the appreciation I had for the girls in their athleticism, their teamwork, their effort. And it reminded me not to take things for granted, because as a parent, you can take things for granted. You take for granted tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to be healthy and you're going to have a great day and you're going to move on. And that's not always the case, and it happens to people every day across the world. But when it hits you, it's completely different, especially at an age when you weren't quite ready for it or expecting it. But as a coach, it also gave me a different perspective, because it made me sit back and really appreciate the effort my kids put in, the athleticism they have, the relationships they have with one another. And it probably revived me a little bit as a coach to realize and remind me all the positives that come from coaching, all the positives that comes from playing, and all the positive it is from that whole program that you participate with, for every kid in your program and every coach, that it truly is a family. And oftentimes I think we take it as a cliche or take it for granted. And it really put me back in perspective how important that is, for me, and I think for people who get to participate in sports across the country. It is valuable. It is rewarding. And again, it was a wake-up call to me that if it weren't for this, it'd probably be me sitting here at 65 looking back at the memories saying it, is where now it kind of reminded me in the middle of it. And I think that was made the end of last year special, and I think it changed me probably as a coach moving forward to how I appreciate what my players do for me in the future and for each other.
Wow, that's awesome. Man, it's been great. I just want to, as we get ready to wrap it up, I mean, listening to the Parkers, man, what a beautiful family. And just, man, I mean, I have so much more appreciation for you guys, just listening to the stories and how hard you guys have worked and different things like that. And the like I said, the adversity you fought through. And I remember a young man, Austin Hatch, I had him on my show, and you remember Austin, he's from Fort Wayne, and I used to work Austin out, but Austin came on my show and he said something I'll never forget. He said, although he couldn't control the events, the 2 plane crashes that killed his whole family, he couldn't control the event, but he could control 100% control of how he responded to the event. And although you guys couldn't control your dad getting cancer, you could 100% control how you responded to him getting cancer. And man, my hats are off to you. My hats are off to you, Rod. I mean, just a powerful, just powerful. Let me end with this. I want to ask Madisen and Rylie about this. Talk to us, Madisen, your senior year, Rylie, your freshman year. Tell us about it. Talk to us about what your expectation is. Rylie, are you going to get off the bench this year as a freshman? Madisen, are you going to be MAC Player of the Year? Just talk to us through it. Go ahead, Rylie. We'll let you, as always, start first.
Well, first of all, I wanted to introduce the third Parker. So here's my younger brother. Hello. Wanted to bring him in and say hi, but
what's up, Ryan? Hold on, Ryan, come back. Since you in, we're gonna have to jump you in. Talk to us. They just told us. First of all, Bernard Holland said that although Rylie was a good golfer, he was not even close to you. Do you agree with that statement? No, Ryan, I'm not asking you. Ryan, do you agree with that statement that you are a better golfer?
100%, 120%.
Love it. That's you know what? You're already a winner. We're going to be seeing you in the U.S. Open. I mean, I love your energy. I love your confidence. That's exactly what you should have said. Thank you, Ryan.
But anyway, back to the question. I have loved it at PFW so far. We've been doing workouts obviously with masks and very different than what I thought my freshman summer and pre-workouts would be. I mean, we're on the court with masks on, separated, each basket just one of us is at, and the times are different and all this cleaning and lifting, but I think I've really grown as a player even from that as well. Just being able to lift every day and being in the gym and getting the feedback from the coaches. Because, I mean, college is a different level than high school. My dad's a great coach, and I think that going into the college level and hearing what different coaches and what college coaches have to say to better my game has meant a lot. And I've been shooting it well so far. Maybe not as well as my sister, but I'm up there. And so I'm hoping and expecting to at least get off the bench and hopefully help my team win with my shooting and defense and intensity. So I'm super excited for the season.
This year, I mean, I'm a senior. This is my 4th year. I've had 3 fantastic years at BG, and I can confidently say this year is completely different than anything I've experienced. And I think my goal for this year is just to make the most of it. And you can have a phenomenal year even in a COVID year and a year that's a little uncertain. Last year, obviously, I think my team was better than we were the year before. So the goal moving forward is to be better this year than we were last year. And I think if I can contribute to my team in a positive way that impacts the culture and has a lasting impact on our program, then I feel like I've done my job as a senior this year. So, I mean, we have 7 freshmen. We have a great group of girls. And I think my biggest thing this year and my obligation is to be a great leader and to leave the jersey and the place better than I found it. So I think as I enter my last year of basketball, my goal is honestly to just enjoy it and to make the most of it. And the accolades and everything like that, they'll come if they come. But that's not what I'm going to remember most about this year.
That's wonderful. Man, I'm telling you, I have had a ball here today. I mean, Rylie, Nard said your personality was like it is, and I can tell. I mean, you're bubbly. I mean, I can just tell, all smiles. Madisen, I mean, I've just enjoyed you, and like I said, I feel like I know you guys because, like I said, I talk to Nard every day, and he speaks so highly of you, Coach, as well. Obviously, we go back in my, younger days when we both were kind of getting started. I think you may have started a few years earlier than, I did. And so I want to just leave you guys. I want you guys to have the last word today. We just, like I said, we appreciate you guys coming on and being a part of the second ever, Girls Dad series. And so we appreciate that. So Coach, you can, and then whoever would like to say anything to just, have the last words, you're welcome to do that.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Eric, and your daughter Eliana. It's great that she was on co-hosting. She did a fantastic job. So I'm sure you're very, very proud of that, and so you have a great relationship. But I appreciate you having us on the show. And I think one of the big things is just showing what a great game of basketball can do, to a family and how it impacts and all the life lessons are taught through it. So it's been an unbelievable journey for us and our family, and it started from the time they were born, all the way up through. It's going to be their, into their adulthood. So, and probably will continue. And so it's been a great journey, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share it.
I'll go. I just want to thank you guys both so much for taking the time to do this. I really enjoyed it. I got to spend time with my family and also you guys. And so just thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, going along with Rylie, can't say thank you enough. This was such a cool experience. And again, like Rylie, you're just stealing the good lines, Rylie. I'm going to give you credit here.
I'm kidding.
It's fun to spend time with my family and to get to know you guys a little more. And at the end of the day, basketball is important to our family, and it's something that kind of defines us, but nothing will be more important than family. And I think you can see that here today.
All right, there it is. There you have it. Nothing is more important than ball and family. You guys take care. We will see you down the road.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's name's a geeker, the geeker, the geeker.